Okaeri nasai minasan. Today we're gonna talk about Kamen Rider Gotchard episode 5. In a short review, this episode is still fairly weak, but it is very important to kind of like set up a few things that is really important to the story itself. First thing that they actually set up is that the three Abyssal Sisters actually have another master that they are serving, and the second thing that they established in this episode that is really important is the power of the Chemy to fuse with human, not in a malicious way. And that is kind of like the big general two thing that we can actually see from this episode. So right now we want to talk about the long review of this episode. Okay, so we're gonna start with obviously my favorite topic to talk about, the three Abyssal Sisters. I have speculated this since episode 2. I have talked about this, how like the three Abyssal Sisters, they actually has a master or something like that. I don't think I ever used the word master, but I kind of like say that they might not be the final villain. They might be kidnapped, they might be mind controlled, they might be, you know, like they're being used by the three-eyed demon itself. And I believe the Glion, Master Glion, is gonna be the three-eyed demon that we saw in the book of the Alchemist of the Dawn itself. And seeing this Glion existing, something like that, it kind of like makes me has a inkling that we might actually get to see Alchemist of the Dawn making an appearance in the future itself. It could actually appear in a kind of like Kamen Rider form or some other form. We are not sure, but there is definitely a possibility that we are actually gonna see like a rider that is gonna use a single card and just gonna henshin and become the Alchemist of the Dawn, something like that. I think I heard quite a lot of rumors surrounding the Kamen Rider Legend, if not mistaken. I saw quite a lot of people talking about Kamen Rider Legend. I'm not sure how true that actually is. I'm not sure where does this thing actually, like, where does this leak, or should I say this information actually start from? I am not aware of that at all. But if there is a possibility that we are gonna get Kamen Rider Legend, the Alchemist of the Dawn would definitely be the best person to be the wielder of Kamen Rider Legend itself. And speaking of Kamen Rider Legend, we actually got quite a lot of Chemy Cards that has been introduced to us that actually have the power 10 in their numbering itself. So you would actually think that maybe this number 10 card would actually helps to empower a rider that doesn't need two cards to fuse together to make themselves stronger, something like that. But then again, we also get to see there are quite a lot of people who are playing around with the Gotchadriver, and they actually found out that the 10 card, you only need to you basically slot a 10 card and then a blank card, and then you henshin. That is how the card actually works. Okay, but then again, if that is the case, it is definitely kind of sad. Okay, I am really hoping to see kind of like a 10 plus 10 power up, because that is also kind of like one of the things that I mentioned in my bingo card, to see a 10 plus 10 power up. But so far we actually get, we know there is a few 10 card. Okay, we got Yugidarasu, and then we got Beetle X, and then we got Wizard X. I think these are three like power 10 cards that we know that is gonna come in the future. I'm sure that we're gonna get more 10 cards, but we, other than the three cards that I know, I don't know any other 10 cards. Okay, if you know any other 10 cards, let me know in the comment section below. But let me move on to the second thing. Okay, because when we actually talk about Chemy Cards, the 10 cards and all the stuff, this episode actually gave us a really staggering amount of Chemy Cards being introduced. In the previous episode, we actually get to see 4 Chemy Cards, if not mistaken. We get to see Trooper, we get to see not pilots, we already saw pilots. We get to see Trooper, then we get to see, nah, it's okay. I'm not gonna name the previous episode. Let me just talk about this episode. We got seven 7 Chemy card that has been introduced to us. So firstly, we got the butterfly card. I'm not mistaken, it's like something cho something like cho means butterfly in Japanese, and then the second card is the bullet bang, and together they form the bullet cho something like that. And next we got the gorilla sensei. We got next is the fire rescue card, the hike rescue something like that. And then we got I note down the name, but I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Is Zemi. This is the cicada card. And next one we got Dr. Kozo, the mosquito looking card. And then lastly we get to see Flare Rose. Okay, Flare Rose is gonna make an appearance in the next episode to be a combo together with Gorilla Sensei, and that is gonna be really amazing. Okay, but 7 cards, man, like out of nowhere 7 cards has been introduced to us, and I feel like this is definitely gonna be the tempo moving forward. They really want to just get all the Chemy cards out of the way. I haven't like sit down properly to kind of list down like just how many Chemy cards they have already like go through from phase 0 and phase 1 of the card itself. I mean, like if there are people out there who are actually like hardworking enough, maybe you guys can actually help me like to count out how many cards has yet to make an appearance and what cards has yet to make an appearance. Then we can kind of like guess what is to expect for the next few episodes, like what are they gonna cover. But another thing that I forgot to mention about the 3 Abyssal Sisters that I really love is how the 3 Abyssal Sisters seems to have a little bit of plot, like kind of like character development or plot progression, something like that, because we actually get to see like in the first episode, all they want to do is to get the Chemy cards, to release the Chemy cards and all those stuff. But in this episode, we actually get to see that, hey, they want to make it more rapid, you know, like I think in episode 3, they are just looking at the sideline. They are very happy that hey, like, you know, like the Chemy is interacting with the malicious thought of humanity, blah blah blah, something like that. And then out of nowhere in episode 5, we actually get to see that, hey, Master Glion is like getting impatient, like, you know, like they want the Abyssal Sister to speed things up, to help the Chemy to create more Malgam, strong Malgam, something like that. And that is exactly what we saw happening in this episode. One of the sister actually introduced Gorilla Sensei to the guy, to Gilori, if not mistaken. But we are not being shown like how does the Abyssal Sister is able to kind of like control the Gorilla Sensei and throw it into the body of Gilori, something like that. So that is something that I hope we actually get to see how the Abyssal Sister actually does it. I think one way they can definitely do it really easily is just like kind of like show the Abyssal Sister is able to use alchemy to trap the Chemy, and then they are able to kind of control the Chemy, something like that. Since we actually get to see like the Abyssal Sister has the ability to release a certain force of malicious intent to kind of absorb the Chemy into themselves and creating a new Malgam, something like that. So that is really amazing. The next thing we want to talk about is the name of Ichinose, Houtarou, and also Kudo Rinne. Okay, so apparently their name have the number 1 and the number 9 in their respective name itself. So we actually get to see like Ichinose is and Rinne are supposed to be like the best combo, the dynamic duo in the series itself. We are actually gonna see them like going to adventure together. They're gonna face trials together, something like that. And that is something that we actually get to see in this episode, like especially when Ichinose henshin into like Bullet Cho, and we actually get to see Rinne to be the one that actually holds the gun and fire at the Yakuza itself. And speaking of the Yakuza, I am so damn surprised to actually see they bring real guns. Okay, like this is not like just artificial laser gun, but this is legit props gun they actually show on a Kamen Rider show itself. Okay, like I think this is definitely a really different show that we actually know from the past. Like in Kamen Rider Geats, I think we actually get to see a gun that is being used by Samas to shoot, what was the name already, like the I forgot who he shot already. I forgot the name. My godness. Okay, but it's we actually saw a gun. Okay, what I'm trying to say is we saw a gun, but there's like a tiny gun, and in this episode we get to see multiple guns. Okay, and it is like handgun, something like that. So I don't know. Is this kind of like normal? I think it's quite normal, right? Like, I mean, even like I think for me, when I see guns in a Kamen Rider show, it makes more sense to me when I actually saw like the scenario is like army base or police base, and we see guns in the show, it makes sense. But to see just like Yakuza holding guns is really insane for me. But then again, maybe it's just me, okay? Maybe I'm just like too sensitive with guns, something like that. But moving forward is definitely Wrestler G, okay? We want to talk about Wrestler G. Like, I really did not expect Wrestler G to be such a beloved Chemy for me. Like, it is like he doesn't need to talk. Okay, all he needs to do is to do Wrestler G, something like that. And we actually get to see like the story, the sub story between the owner of the Asahi Wrestling Club and also Wrestler G. I think their relationship is the best. Like, they really managed to sell a complete story in a single episode, and I really love that. Like, even though like I felt like it still downplay quite a lot of things. There's a few things they can definitely expand upon, but if you really think about it, like, this episode is really good because everything is like, it's a one-off episode. This is how Kamen Rider used to be like, you know, like, it's not kind of like a episoded thing, it's not an arc thing. So this is kind of like a one episode thing, and every single episode is kind of like a stand-alone episode if you really think about it. But I think this is kind of like, it reminded me of something that I read in the past, saying that the director actually wanted the Kamen Rider Gotchard to feel more like a Showa era Kamen Rider rather than a Heisei generation Kamen Rider itself. And we can definitely see like more and more of those happening in this series, okay, like especially in this episode. And that is, I'm not sure whether or not it's a good thing, but I think it is a good thing in a sense that every single episode is a hit or miss. It can hit really high, but it can also hit really low. But one thing that I think Showa generation Kamen Rider that turned me off quite a lot is that I'm not sure what to expect. I'm not sure, like, it almost made me feel like I don't need to watch the series every single week. It almost made me feel like I can just wait until the series over and binge watch the entire series. And I felt like Kamen Rider Gotchard is definitely giving me the vibe that, hey, it is better to binge watch the series than to actually watch it weekly, following the crowd, following the hype and all the stuff. Because if you let's just go back to Geats and even Revise, okay? I think like when we watch Geats and Revise, every single episode, like we are not sure what to expect, what is gonna happen in the next episode, how they are gonna settle things. And most importantly is like every single week their story connects, you know, like the stories goes from the one episode to the next episode and then to the next episode itself. But for Gotchard, so far in the first 5 episodes, like every single episode doesn't seem to really connect with one another. It can really be a standalone episode, and it really makes me felt like, hey, like maybe things is gonna, like, you know, like goes better in the future. But it also give me a feeling like maybe it's just the way how I view the media in the current day. Like, a week to week episodic episode is good sometimes, but I felt like if they are not able to manage it properly, it is gonna fall flat really easily. And I think the Western media did this really well. They managed to do a kind of like an episodic thing, but at the same time in that episode they also managed to drill in a little bit of character development and a certain thing that really makes you like, hey, I must watch this episode, I might or not. If not, I might miss something like that. Okay, so yeah, why am I even talking about this? I don't know. Okay, but let me go back to Wrestler G, my boy Wrestler J. Woo! Okay, so Wrestler J is a really interesting Chemy because he or she, I'm not sure how to like, why am I even worried about being political correct when I actually call a card itself? I must be crazy, okay? But Wrestler G show us that there is a possibility for human and Chemy to fuse together without the malicious intent. So there is a possibility that human and Chemy can fuse together, use their power, and not become amalgam itself. And that is really amazing because so far we only see Chemy and people, human with malicious intent, fusing together and all those stuff. So in the future, we might actually get to see a person that is actually using the power of the Chemy without any malicious intent, but because of certain issue or certain thing happen in their life, it actually causes the human to start to grew a lot of malicious intent, and eventually they actually become amalgam, something like that. Okay, if that happened, I would love that character to be a kind of like a long-term appearing character. Like, I'm not sure how to explain this, but I hope that character plays a significant role for our boy Hotaro itself. I think the best person to do that is definitely gonna be Kajiki. Okay, Kajiki has been established as like the person that is like really occult focused. Like, he's really excited to see new occult. So I think if he managed to get in contact with one of the Chemys, he's not gonna have any malicious intent, but he also seems to be the type of guy that is easily affected. Like, his emotional is not the most stable in a sense, something like that. So I would say if they really want to go for that story direction, something like that, the best guy to do it is definitely going to be Kajiki. Okay, really interesting stuff. But the next thing we want to talk about is how Renge and Sabimaru didn't actually know about the fact that Hotaro is the Kamen Rider itself. Okay, so that is really surprising. But then again, I'm not, I don't think it's kind of like a widely spread knowledge, something like that. And I think they should have guessed, like, there's a Kamen Rider in town, and out of nowhere, Hotaro joins the Alchemy Academy. They should have put 2 and 2 together and like, hey, he is the Kamen Rider, something like that. Okay, but now that they know that Hotaro is the Kamen Rider, we are definitely gonna see more and more interaction between Hotaro and the senpais. We get to see Renge and Sabimaru's interaction with Hotaro, and I really love their appearance in this episode. Really hope that we get to see more of them, because the two of them is actually kind of like actually have quite nice acting, not gonna lie, right? Especially Renge. And Sabimaru, you can't really see his acting, but he still managed to act a little bit, you know, like with the limited like plot and in screen time that he has. But speaking of acting, right, I have been thinking about this for quite a lot, and I think Hotaro's biggest problem is his hairstyle. Okay, like we one of the things that really portray emotions, and one thing that we really helps for us human to judge someone's emotion and facial expression more than our mouth itself is actually our eyebrow. And one thing that has been missing from Hotaro's 5-episode career is that we don't actually get to see much of his eyebrow. Like, his hair is really long and really thick, so it actually kind of like cover his eyebrow, so we can't really see him doing like this, we can't really see him doing like that, like we can't really see him play around with his eyebrow itself. So if he can actually, like, I don't know, like the wardrobe department can give him a new hairstyle or something like that and really show more of the eyebrow, I think that is gonna be really helpful to kind of like push more emotion to the character itself. Okay, but then again, that is just my personal opinion. Okay, but with that being said, that is all from me regarding Kamen Rider Gotchard episode 5. Really interesting series so far. I am still gonna review this episode weekly. I'm not gonna stop, don't worry, even though like I say this series seems to be a lot more fun if you manage to watch it in a single sitting. But you know, like gacha, you like it or not, weekly it is. Okay, so that is all. Hope you enjoy. If you made it this far into the video, means you love the content, and I would really appreciate it if you can comment the word necktie in the comment section below. Why necktie? Because there is a necktie in front of me, and this is a necktie I got from a thrift store, like it means secondhand store, which I really love. Like it has a lot of different color, which I don't know why, but I just love this. Okay, like this most of the time I prefer like very minimalistic design and all the stuff, but when I saw this tie, I was like immediately, oh, this design is subarashi, I love it, and I just grab it. It's only like 10 ringgit, something like that. Okay, so it's a really cheap tie, but I love it, so who cares about the price? Okay, that is all from me. Hope you enjoy, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Goodbye.